In today's episode, I interview Jerlida, who converted to Islam 13 years ago in 2007 at the age of 17. Her parents were born in Laos near Thailand, and she grew up in Melbourne. In this episode, you will learn how Jerlida found ease after hardship and how it helped her to become a better Muslim, how Islam helped her to become a family counselor, which enabled her to help other people. You will learn what common mistakes to avoid when converting to Islam, and you will learn the easy way to have a good family life and marriage after converting to Islam.
I say to myself that the religion was actually the savior to myself, because the more I learned about Islam really taught me, my rights as a Muslim woman, and, the value of a Muslim woman, and also, the respect that Muslim women deserve and the type of respect that Muslim women receive as well. There will be more of respect to you as a person if you have reverted to Islam. If a Muslim male saw a Muslim woman, they'll show that, respectful gesture. So in a way, I think it's a positive thing about it is you'll be shown respect. That's something that I would say that is a lifestyle change that I've seen and I really appreciate. Just to have that knowledge is the best thing that an individual can have, because the most important thing is knowledge. With knowledge is power. I mean, for me, it took me 6 years. Even after I read Islam, it took me so long, just until I actually got a solid foundation. I think just keep going, go slow, learn what you can, and learn it to the best of your ability, because Islam is simple, but it's a really deep meaning. Islam is a really deep meaning, so you have to slowly uncover all of that beauty that Islam has to offer. The true meaning of Islam is not just about covering your hair, it's about your heart and your intentions and what you believe in, because Islam is about how you are as a person inside, then that will flourish on the outside. If you have love inside yourself of Islam, then slowly, changes will be automatically done.
And welcome to the show, Jerlida.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, good. Alhamdulillah. Today's a busy day in Melbourne weather. It's quite cold, but alhamdulillah.
So, Jerlida, can you tell us about your life before you converted to Islam?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in a very conservative family. My family believed in shamanism, and I came from Laos, but we are from a tribe, a village in Laos, where we are the Hmong people, and we actually speak a foreign language from the Laotian as well. So that's where I come from. That's who I am. My parents are from Laos, and I grew up, like I said, in a very conservative family. Everything was very quite close and tight. I lived with my grandparents, parents, and 8 other siblings, and we were a very close community. However, I didn't really believe in the things that my family were, kind of introducing me when I was growing up as well. I really was really confused about and skeptical about the things that I grew up in, and I did always question everything about what my family taught me, and it just never really sat well with me. So coming from a conservative family, I was taught the basic, right and wrong, and how to treat people, the love of the community, the family, and everything like that. That's my youth years. So when I got into my high school years, subhanAllah, I was actually surrounded by Muslims. All my friends were Muslims. My community was Muslims. So even my best friends were Muslims. But I just didn't get to a point where I got to ask those kind of questions. Alhamdulillah, I finished in my high school years, and just at the end of the high school years, my grandmother had passed away. She has suffered a stroke, which she had lived with a stroke for about a year and a half, and that really devastated me. And at that time, I kind of looked into health and how to prevent health issues, medical health issues before getting to such severe condition like my grandmother. And that then it brought me to questioning about afterlife, because what my family have told me is, there is an afterlife, and whether you do good deeds or bad deeds, you get to heaven and hell, but it just didn't make sense. So after my grandmother passed away, I really looked into Islam and religion, and kind of got an understanding of what religions are out there as well. So I kind of I had an eye opener, and that's when, just before I met my now ex-husband, I looked into Islam, and I reverted to Islam. So that was yeah, more than a decade ago.
Okay. So did you convert around the age of 17?
Yeah, just after the age of 18, alhamdulillah, after 18, yeah, after the age of 18. So I was quite young at that time. Um, so that's when I was still navigating through life, navigating through um, my years after high school as well. But alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
it gave me the opportunity to kind of look into the religion.
Okay. And you mentioned that at your school you met a lot of Muslims and a lot of Muslims were your friends. Can you tell us about that interaction and how it helped you to become a Muslim?
Yeah, sure. All my friends were Muslims, and they were all very lovely people. Like we say, not all Muslims are all perfect, but the ones that I saw the goodness within them, that it really showed me what Islam is. And that year was the year of 9/11 as well. So it was really a hard time for me to become Muslim and then have my family see, the effects of 9/11 and all that stuff. But I've seen the way that my friends were treated, like how I treated my friends and how my friends had treated me, and how welcoming they were to me as well. Um, they did show a lot of like compassion, a lot of love, and also because we were in a public school, so the male Muslims, they're really respectful, and that's one thing that I really appreciated about the Muslim men, that just the respect that they give women. So that was kind of my interaction with Muslim at a young age.
Okay. And you mentioned 9/11. So some of our listeners may be young, maybe they're only 17 or 18 like you were when you converted. Can you
Yeah.
just briefly explain what 9/11 is?
Yeah, 9/11 was a terrorist attack that happened in the US, where two planes had hit the World Trade Centers in America, and that had, and it was, and the accused were being blamed on Muslim people. So a lot of people at that time were really against Muslims and Islam, and it had a dramatic effect on anybody who was Muslim, because when you go out there, you're being targeted as a Muslim. And but alhamdulillah, things kind of turned around, and people were starting to understand what Islam is and who are Muslim people. So yeah, 9/11, it was a very dramatic event, and a lot of people suffered from it.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that for me, when I converted, that was probably my first major turning point where I started thinking about Islam because of what happened there and the way that the media was portraying it and the way the people were talking about Muslims. I started to defend the Muslims, and I was not a Muslim, and I never thought about being one at the time. But these things made me start questioning what was happening with everything. So, can you tell us how that 9/11 affected you and your ideas about Islam?
Well, honestly, it didn't really change my mind much about Islam, because when I grew up with my friends in high school, they were really nice people, and I saw the best of Muslim people, and it made me question about, okay, who are Muslims and who are they really about, and what does the religion really teach about Muslim people, and what are their morals and the values and the acts towards other people. I had to weigh up what was right and what was being portrayed to me as well at the same time. So with my friends that I grew up with, mashallah, they were really nice people. So it just didn't sit well with me. And I had to do my own kind of research behind that 9/11 event. And, it's just, I kept my path of Islam because I knew that the Muslim people were, genuine, loving people.
And so you mentioned earlier that you were brought up as a shaman. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is
Yeah,
that
my family grew up shaman, but I just never accepted it. I never believed in that.
okay? And do they have a concept of one God?
No, they do have a concept of one God, but it's really misunderstood. It's really quite confusing. They have a like a one God, but however, they also believe in other gods as well.
Okay. And can you explain how it caused a spiritual confusion with you?
Yeah, because as we mentioned, they believe in one God, but then there's also other gods beside the one God as well, and it just doesn't make sense how there will be one God and then there's different other gods beside that one God. Um, and and we always taught, like, when I was at a young age, that we should believe in God, but which God do we believe in? And if we believed in that many gods, there must be some sort of conflict between the gods. It just never made sense. So I've always questioned my parents at a very young age. Um, yeah.
Okay. And on your path to seeking knowledge about true religion and God, did you research any other religions besides Islam?
I didn't look into the other religions. I mean, I knew that there was Christianity and Judaism out there. Um, but then once I found that, Islam did accept other religions as major religions like Judaism and Christianity, and Islam is like the last religion out there, and accepting all the prophets and all that stuff. It made sense to me.
All right. So would you consider your interaction with your friends at school to be your first turning point to accepting Islam?
Yeah, definitely. They did. We didn't really go through what Islam was while we were in high school, but it's just the way that they showed the respect and to one another, and even towards me as a non-Muslim. And it's just that fact that they were really welcoming, and there was no um, you are non-Muslim and we're Muslim and we're better than you and you're not better than us. We're all kind of equal, and we were all the same at the same level. So yes, I think my turning point was kind of when I had the interaction with my Muslim friends. Yes.
Okay. And so after that first turning point, why did you start then searching more knowledge about Islam, and how did you go about doing it?
Yes. So when my grandmother passed away, so just before my grandmother passed away, I was kind of looking to Islam. My ex-husband at that time was kind of like introducing me to Islam, because I was questioning about Islam. So he kind of introduced me more into Islam with the knowledge, with information as well. So as soon as my grandmother passed away, um, I was kind of navigating through life about, afterlife and what I was brought up, and what's going to happen to me as individual, to those who are out there, because I knew that as growing up, my family always told me, that you either go to heaven or hell. And once realizing about Islam, talking about Islam and heaven and hell as well, it just something just clicked inside me and said, I'm not a bad person. I'm actually a nice person, and I always done good things to deserve to go to heaven. So Islam just really resonated with me. And after the passing of my grandmother, and that was kind of like my turning point, and say, what, I'll look into this religion. I want to go to heaven, and I want to serve my community better and kind of, provide information and knowledge to my community, and just to say that, kind of educate them about heaven and hell and our community and just all of that in general.
Okay. So what were some of the things that you did to seek knowledge? Did you go to the mosque, or was it all mainly just reading and listening?
Yeah, at that time, 10 years ago, I didn't have much access to like what we have now, like to the Wi-Fi, internet that runs so fast. I would just say at that time we had like DVDs. So I had access to DVDs. So yes, so DVDs and books from the mosque. Um, I had information that my ex-husband provided for me as well. So this just like reading materials and videos as well that I did watch. So yes, I that's how I kind of gained more information about Islam.
Okay. And so how long was that period where you were, before you converted, where you were searching and researching?
Honestly, it wasn't that long. It might have been maybe about 3 months or 4 months before I actually um, accepted Islam.
Okay. And did you visit the mosque or any Islamic religious centers?
Um, well, no, I didn't actually visit a mosque because at that time there was not a lot of, well, I wasn't close enough to too many people to kind of go to the mosque. I was very, scared to go to the mosque. But at that time, I had my ex-husband, so he kind of just showed me, yep, this is the mosque. So yeah, but I didn't really go there for resources. I went there to purchase items like books and stuff like that, but not really go there to gain like lectures and stuff like that.
Okay. And a lot of people, before they convert to Islam, what they do is they try to test out the religion and some of the rituals. For example, they start praying, or they start, they start doing the prayer, or they start fasting. Did you do any of that before you converted?
No, I didn't do that. When I converted to Islam, no, I did that after I converted to Islam. Um, but I did find it, slightly difficult because it was kind of like a transition that I needed to go into slowly at a time. Because at that time, after I became Muslim, not long after that, I got married as well, and then I did full-time study. So I didn't really get that time to really practice the religion. I just kind of, you know, um, slowly learned the religion on the way.
Okay, so you mentioned, you said that you learnt it slowly over time. Was that
Yeah.
after you converted? So how long did it take for you to feel like that you were a solid practicing Muslim, and you were happy with your knowledge?
To be honest, it took me a very long time because after I got married, then I did have a bit of a breakdown within the marriage. So it kind of pushed me back to learn the religion. So honestly, and then I had a kid, I had a child as well. Um, and that was like after 6 months of being married. So I was trying to balance everything at the same time, from being a mother, being a wife, being a full-time student. So it took me at least 6 years to be solid and say, you know what, I'm learning my religion now, because I felt like I needed to be a role model for my child, and my child needed to learn from me, because I was the mother. I spent most of my time with my child. So once I learned, um, I became more solid from then. And then that's when I did have more difficulties with the marriage as well. And once the marriage was kind of failing, I kind of had more faith in the religion. I looked more into the religion, and I think because of the marriage breakdown, I gained a more solid foundation of the religion, and I became stronger as a person myself because of the religion, because of the marriage breakdown as well.
Okay, yeah. So you mentioned to me earlier in a message, you said that you had refound the purpose of Islam. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So when mean like found the purpose of Islam is because when I uh, converted to Islam, I didn't really get that time to learn much about Islam because of all the commitments I had. But once I knew that my marriage was breaking down, and um, I felt like, you know, who am I connected to? I lost a lot of things on the way for being Muslim as well. I lost a lot of friends, family, and I felt like, who do I have now? And I felt like, I only have, the one that made me. So I created my connection through the maker that I have, and that's when I refound myself as a stronger Muslim, as someone who has better faith, a better connection with my Maker, and that's when I actually, studied more about the religion and my purpose as a Muslim woman in our community, and and the service that I need to provide for others out there, also in kind of my situation as well.
Yeah. So this is, something that happens a lot is that sometimes a hardship can force someone to get closer to God, and it ends up becoming an advantage and a benefit for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% believe that because I really did find happiness through the hardship. And, I found, that I created a relationship between me and my maker. And, and then I found contentment. So I used, any kind of problems that I had during, my marriage breakdown. I use those as opportunities to create, any kind of purposes that I can fulfill.
Yeah, and also in some cases where people convert to Islam and they get married early, and then they have this sort of tragic breakup. Sometimes the convert will actually leave Islam. Were you ever thinking
Mhm.
about this?
No, I never thought about leaving Islam um, because the reason why I never thought about it is because I was 100% committed to Islam, and I felt that even if the marriage didn't work out, the religion will always be there. And like I say to myself, that the religion was actually the savior to myself, because the more I learned about Islam, Islam really taught me, my rights as a Muslim woman, and the value of a Muslim woman, and also, the respect that Muslim women deserve, and the Muslim and the type of respect that Muslim women receive as well. So yeah, that's the reason why I never thought about leaving Islam. I kind of took the opportunity and kind of used that as my opportunity to say, you know what, this is what I deserve. And, if it was any other person out there that didn't feel that way, I feel really bad and sorry for the other women or those who are reverted to Islam and didn't get the opportunity to see that, because sometimes there were some hardships that are quite negative, but I think it's really important to kind of look at the positive side of what Islam can bring as well.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. And so, a lot of our listeners are, they're not Muslim yet. They're thinking about becoming Muslim. And, some of them are probably going through hardships. I
Yeah.
myself, before I converted, I was going through a hardship, and that hardship was my turning point to Islam. And so these people, including myself, we needed to have a healthy mental health and a mindset and a healthy mindset. So could you explain how Islam would help someone to get out of that dark problem and to have a better life?
Yeah, definitely. I think the religion really teaches um, the basic human rights of individuals and the rights of us among others as well. So it creates a understanding of the purpose of your life as individual and the purpose of other individuals as well. So to understand your purpose of life, and what you are meant to do for your life, and you know you are able to create contentments and then provide that kind of relationship to other creatures that that our maker has made as well, like whether that's like other humans, animals, or the environment. So anybody going through hardship can, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, we can look into the religion and say, you know what, Islam does provide a understanding of just the rights for anyone and everyone.
And also, can you tell us about how important it is to have a good balance in relationships with, spouse, family, and friends?
Yeah, I think it's fundamentally important. I think it's one of the most important things you do need to have um, with a spouse, um, because you and your spouse are the foundations of building a happy marriage. And just to have like an understanding of your needs for one another at the beginning of a marriage is really important, because we all have expectations of one another, and I think that really needs to be um, spoken about and talked about before marriage, whether both of the parties are able to have an understanding of where you both are coming from as well, because as you revert, you'll be going through a lot of changes in life that whoever you're getting married to might not understand, and the other partner might go through challenges that Reva might not understand. So it's really important to have that conversation, meaningful conversation before marriage. And with family, um, to it's really also really important to keep that relationship with family as well. Even though I, for myself, I did kind of lose my relationship with my family because of reverence Islam and getting married at a young age as well. My family didn't really accept that, and they were not really happy about that. But even though they were not happy about it, I just continued to communicate with them. Even if they weren't happy about things, I just keep being positive to them. And that's one really important thing, because we need to understand that even though we have chosen the path of Islam, we still have commitment to our parents as well. Our parents, our guardians, that we need to still respect them, no matter what belief they believe in, and um, what mentality they have as well. We still need to show them that they are the one who raised us up, and we need to provide that respect and love back, no matter what belief they believe in.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned that you had some negative consequences with family and friends and so forth. Um, would you have any advice for people who are thinking about coming to Islam on how to deal with that and, the best way to move forward for them?
Yeah, with my friends personally, I did lose some friends. Um, However, I've gained more friends than I could possibly imagine, um, because I was able to get into a network of reverts as well, and those who are on the same journey as I am of finding myself in Islam, and those who are seeking the knowledge and the love of Islam. So that's one thing that I would say about friends. Just be in a position where you will be open to making new friends as well, those who are on the same path as you. And with family is a tough one because um, it's really the one that you love that you get hurt the most. But no matter what, your family's always going to be there for you through thick and thin. Sometimes they may say things that might upset you, but it's because they love you and they want to make sure that you're in the best possible care, and they want to see you flourish and they want to see you happy. So just to just so you show them that love that Islam really teaches, that will bring some sort of contentment to them to say that, you know what, you are happy as well, choosing the path of Islam. And Islam actually makes you a better person, to treat your parents better than you would if you know, um, maybe might not have chosen the path of Islam, because Islam does teach you how to treat your parents and treat your family as well. So, yeah.
Okay, and how did you deal with, the way that the public and society, or maybe your workmates, handled the way that you were now a Muslim?
Okay, yeah, so when I became Muslim, um, I did find it very difficult to socialize with those who were already Muslim, because at that time I was studying as well. So I had to travel to uni and back, and I was really afraid to kind of communicate with those who were Muslims. I did find, like, maybe I was stereotyped as well, and didn't feel comfortable with being stereotyped. Um, and then putting the hijab on early on when I became Muslim too. So there was, a lot of discrimination at that time, but I just kind of, I just ignored all the negative comments and the naysayers as well. And alhamdulillah, that kind of brought that confidence that I have now, whereas I can wear the hijab to, to work or to school, to my family's house, and, my parents will be happy to walk with me to the shops and go buy groceries with me in my hijab now. So over time it just does builds confidence. And also I think being in a community where you're surrounded by other reverts as well, so everybody's got a different story to share, everybody's got different um, paths and journeys. So just to hear other people's stories, it kind of brings that positive um, positive uh, effect on you as well.
Okay, and can you explain now, to
Yeah.
our listeners out there that are thinking about becoming Muslim, what are some of the lifestyle changes that will happen to them which will benefit them?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely learning about the religion, um, it will provide an insight of um, your purpose of life as a human being, and it will give you like a really big eye opener to who you are and what your purpose of life is for your life now, and how you treat others as well. Um, so other like lifestyle changes is your mixing of friends, and your habits. I mean, they don't really have to change much. It's just you just have to approach things differently. There's gonna be times when you might need to whether you're working with male colleagues or female colleagues of different genders, you there will be more of respect to you as a person if you have reverted to Islam. If a Muslim male saw a Muslim woman, they'll show that respectful gesture. So in a way, I think it's a positive thing about it is you'll be shown respect, and that's something that I would say that is a lifestyle change that I've seen and I really appreciate.
Okay. And some people, they're thinking about converting to Islam, but they they are afraid that they can't change their lifestyle, or maybe it's going to be too hard with too many rules. So, for example, they like doing things which are forbidden in Islam. Could you give advice to that sort of a person about, the advantage of still converting to Islam and moving forward?
Yeah, sure. Look, everything good, everything beautiful takes time, and no matter what circumstances and situations that somebody may be in, you know, the best thing to do is just to keep learning. And the more you learn, the more knowledge you obtain, you will, even though you like, if somebody does not revert to Islam that fast, just to have that knowledge is the best thing that an individual can have, because the most important thing is knowledge, and with knowledge is power. So, I mean, for me, it took me 6 years. Even after I read Islam, it took me so long just until I actually got a solid foundation. So I think just keep going, go slow, um, learn what you can, and learn it to the best of your ability, because Islam is simple, and but it's a really deep meaning. Islam is a really deep meaning, so you have to slowly uncover all of that beauty that Islam has to offer.
Okay, thanks for that. And also, a lot of our listeners out there are hesitating about wearing the hijab, and they think that it will be, a problem in their conversion. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. I think just also with hijab, um, I think just really go slow with hijab as well. Sometimes, women do get pressured about, straight away put on the hijab, because, you have to cover yourself. But the true meaning of Islam is not just about covering your hair, it's about your heart and your intentions and what you believe in, because Islam is about, your how you are as a person inside, then that will flourish on the outside. If you have love inside yourself of Islam, then slowly, changes will be automatically done, because, you know, um, nobody's perfect, and, everybody has their own journey. So a hijab is a covering of just, your mouth and your eyes, and it's not just the physical aspect of covering yourself. It's about covering your heart to negativities, and just to make sure that you're always on a good path, and making sure that your heart is clean and flourished with the abundance of the Islam.
And earlier you talked a little bit about how your mindset changed when you accepted Islam. So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about how their mindset will change and how they will get better psychological advantage by converting to Islam?
Yeah, I mean, the mindset is actually um, really important, um, because with Islam, it's about understanding who you are as an individual. And I think Islam really provides an individual an insight of who they are, and the purpose of Islam. I think that's really the reason why I decided to go on a path of counseling as well, because I know that every individual has a different path, and some might be more difficult than others. And it's just about finding who you are as an individual while on the path of Islam. So I think the mindset of converting to Islam is not that it's not that difficult. It's about understanding what Islam is. And once you understand what Islam is, you will, love what it is. Instead of finding the difficulties about it, you find the positivities, and all the opportunities you can obtain from Islam. Um, Mindset wise, I think I grew stronger and wiser because of Islam. Especially the fact that the more I read about Islam, I understood what Islam is all about. So, especially with a woman's rights in Islam, and the purpose of a woman in Islam. So I I became a woman, like an activist for women rights within my own community, especially for reverts as well. So I think having the mindset of I've created a relationship between me and my maker. So now it's my time to go serve the other creatures of my maker, like those in the community. So the mindset is always constantly growing. The more I learn, the more I'm able to offer myself to my community, to the best of my ability.
Earlier, you mentioned, or sorry, it was in the introduction, that you are a nutritionalist. And so when people come to Islam, they realize that they have to change a few things about their diet. Maybe they have to stop eating pork, or stop drinking alcohol, and smoking cigarettes is also not so good because it damages your body. From a nutritional point of view, can you explain about the benefits of accepting Islam?
Nutritional wise, definitely Islam does teach you about the food that you consume and how it affects your body. So lifestyle changes about food consumption, you can always substitute it with something else. So I know, pork is forbidden and it's not allowed in Islam, but you can easily substitute that with something else, and that you can gain protein from other plant-based or animal-based foods. And with alcohol and smoking and those kind of other bad habits, those can be um, slowly stopped, because we do know that those are really bad for your health. And the benefits of Islam on your overall health is, it teaches you to love who you are and the body that you're given. So once you have a connection with your maker and you understand that your body is a vessel that has given to you for your purpose of, is a purpose that you have, and your duties that you have as individual, you learn that you will love your body, and you won't do anything or consume anything that harms your body. So once you understand that, um, the health, the negative health aspects of things will slowly start cutting out as well. It's not an easy thing because sometimes, you know, um, like smoking and alcohol can be an addiction, but these can be eliminated with some professional help as well.
Okay, anything else?
I don't know, because with me personally, because I didn't have the opportunity to you know drink alcohol or smoke. So for me, I'm not in that field of saying that it's going to be easy. It may be one of the hardest things that an individual can go through, but at the end of the day, it's worth it is worth it, and to stop those bad habits, and you'll gain more of a better health overall, where you can serve yourself and your community.
And so you mentioned to me that you are a counselor. Is your job mainly with counseling Muslims?
So with counseling, I try my best to help those who are reverts, because reverts and those who have gone through domestic and family violence, because that's kind of my background. And I try to help them, because with reverts, it is a really difficult time for reverts as well. navigating through Islam when they're newly reverted. So yeah.
Okay, and how do we contact you? How would someone contact you to get your counselling service?
So at the moment, I'm working along with Preston Mosque, which is in Melbourne, Victoria. It's in the northern suburbs, so they do have counselling service for family and couples. At the moment, they do also offer other counselling services as well for drug and alcohol as well. But mainly um, the service for women is, I can provide that kind of counselling at the Preston Mosque.
Okay, do you offer anything online where someone could contact you online?
No, at the moment, I'm not offering anything online, but inshallah, I'll be looking into offering something like that. I mean, I'm always open to having a chat with anybody who's gone through a hard time and on a journey of Islam as well. It would be something that I will be happy to do on the side of, you know, of an organization or business where I can just personally use my own time to help others.
Okay, sure, sure. Maybe we can put your contact details in the show notes. If you're interested, then people can contact you.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. Yes.
Okay, so now I would like to talk about sort of the commitment that a Muslim needs. So after they've converted and after they've established themselves and they feel like, they're a solid Muslim, what are some of the things that a Muslim will need to do now to maintain their Islamic life?
Definitely, definitely keep learning, even though we are all busy working or studying and have other life commitments. Continuously study, whether that's with mashallah, with the platform like podcasts that you have as well, and audio books and lectures online. Um, just constantly learn and never stop learning, because Islam is so big that you will never be able to stop learning. And the more you learn, the more you understand about Islam. Other commitments I would say is connect. Everybody needs to connect with others as well. This is a journey that we should not be doing it alone, because there are millions of people who are becoming Muslims, and we are all on a journey together. Whether you're newly reverted to Islam, whether you've been a Muslim for 10, 20, 30 years, we are always learning about something. So commit to being in a group that you're all on a journey together, and you're all seeking the same knowledge and the same positive information. Just connect to your local Muslim mosque or friends or podcasts. Just connect, just keep connected. That's really important.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about to our audience out there?
Yeah, I think I would just say, the journey of Islam may not be the easiest one. It does take a lot of commitment, but however, it's one of the most fulfilling journeys that anybody can go by. And the once you learn about Islam, I think you people will understand your journey as well, and people will start loving you. Even if you is friends or family, they'll start loving you as a person of as of a person of Islam, because you'll be a better person, and you'll be able to offer you as yourself at the highest potential. you know um, Sometimes we think about those who are reverted to Islam, and those who are like famous singers and artists and stuff like that. And we always consider, why did they revert to Islam? But because they all have an understanding of there's a one God, and we are all here for the one purpose. And at the end of the day, we have more brothers and sisters globally than you can ever imagine. You can go say hi to your one of the sisters, and you'll be a sister to everybody else. So whenever you are in need of something, you have a big family to support you and guide you on the path of Islam.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, and also one thing that we all have to understand that we all come from different nationalities and different backgrounds, and once we all have an understanding of Islam, we really appreciate each other for for who we are and our talents um, and and everything that everybody has to offer. You know, yeah. So I think that's what I've had a positive effect of Islam, and I think that those who are looking to Islam will definitely have a positive effect of Islam as well. Whether you're on a slow journey or a faster journey, definitely it will greatly and positively impact an individual and everybody who is surrounding that individual. Yeah, you did mention before those who did revert to Islam and then go through hardship and end up leaving Islam. Um, I think on that note, I just want to say, you know, that going through hardship and you know, we need to make a commitment to our Maker, and we need to always remember the reason why we did, enter the fold of Islam, and always have that constantly behind our mind, even though, you know, sometimes we may have negativity in our lives, but constantly keep in the back of your mind and know that, you know, as an individual person, that they're always loved, and you know there's always brothers and sisters out there that will always help. No matter what happens in life, there will always be somebody out there as a Muslim brother or sister to help guide, you know, anyone that is looking into leaving Islam. And yeah,
Any other advice?
yeah, just with because for me, I have two children. So my advice as a single parent of children is um, communicate with the children, learn about Islam, and you know, whether you're looking into Islam and you have children as well, really learn to um, explain things as well, because there are some individuals who may have adult children and they're looking into Islam. So I think just having an honest, open conversation about the reasons why you wanted to revert to Islam, and just lay everything on the table. Just be honest. And the the most important thing is to have is open communication. In that way, whether that's with children, spouse, family, friends, once they understand the reason why you want to revert to Islam, they will support you. So um, whether that's support with like emotionally, physically as well, you know, it's it's just the best to have a good communication.
Okay, any other ideas?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because of the breakdown of my marriage and following up with the divorce as well. Like I mentioned before, that it really brought a stronger sense of myself, and you know, a greater, a better me, a better version of me. So even though some people might look into whether they have previously been divorced or been separated, don't take that as a negative aspect. Take it that as a positive aspect that you bring into Islam, and the opportunities that Islam will provide, individual and families who have gone through some sort of, you know, um, you know, marriage breakdown, and Islam will have ways to, substitute those with options that will make individuals' life more happier and more fulfilled. Yeah, and I think just basically everything just takes time. Never rush into something. Just keep learning, and the more you learn, the more you'll have an understanding, um, and the love. There'll be more love once there's a better understanding of Islam as well. Yeah, and one thing that is really important to me is the communication between neighbors as well. That's one thing that really was important to me. Just to have better communication with the neighbors, those who are around you. You know, just always keep smiling, and just say hi. And whether you see a Muslim brother or if you're female, just give salams to one another. And once you say salams and peace to one another, it just means that they are saying peace with back to you as well. So even if you haven't reversed Islam and you're looking into it, just and you give greetings and you receive greetings of peace, it's just really heart fulfilling and it's really heartwarming as well.
Okay, Jerlida, thank you so much for all your advice. Really appreciate it, and also, your experience that you've had with your own life and your own hardships, and also with your counselling work that you do with the Muslims. I'm sure that our listeners out there will benefit from your words. As a conclusion to this episode, can you give our listeners some action points to take, something that they can do in the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks that will help them to get closer to God and closer to Islam?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, download any audiobooks about Islam. Listen to available lectures online, whether that's YouTube or any available sources. Um, just listen to them on a regular basis as well, and also try to get to a local mosque or local Islamic center where you can obtain just some information about the basics of Islam, and just have a conversation with the individual there about Islam and what it means to be Muslim. Um, so I think in the next few weeks, if an individual does that, if somebody does like you do that, definitely you start understanding your purpose of Islam, and the real meaning of Islam as well. Just constantly keep learning and keep listening, keep reading, and just keep searching for um, the truth and the information and the knowledge of Islam.
Okay, thanks for that, Jerlida. Thank you very much for coming onto the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Okay, you're welcome. So may the peace and blessings of God be upon you and also onto all our listeners out there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.